Hello and welcome. Before we start today's story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and write in the comments where you're watching from. Listening to stories like this one will help you improve your English listening and speaking skills. This story is especially for B1 level learners, and it's told in simple English to help you understand and enjoy. Now, sit back and listen carefully. This is the story of a strange photo, a photo that changes every day. My name is Daniel. I'm 32 years old. I live alone in a small apartment above a bookstore in the middle of the city. My life is quiet and a bit boring, but I don't complain. I work as a graphic designer. I make pictures and designs for websites and companies. Most of the time I work from home. Every morning, I wake up around 7:30, make a cup of coffee, check my emails, and then begin my work. I don't have many friends in the city, and I don't go out much. I enjoy staying in and reading books, watching movies, and working on little projects. Life is simple, but sometimes simple is good. One morning, everything changed. It started like a normal Tuesday. The air was cold and the sky outside my window was gray. I woke up, turned off my alarm, and reached for my phone. I usually check the news or look at my messages before getting out of bed. But that morning, when I turned on the phone, something strange caught my eye. There was a new photo in my gallery, one I didn't remember taking. It was a picture of a narrow, quiet street. There were no cars or people in it. The buildings were old, made of bricks, and their windows were small and dark. A few trees stood on the side of the road, their leaves yellow and brown like it was autumn. The street itself was dry and clean, and the sky in the photo was clear and blue. I didn't know this place. I had never seen it before, and I was sure I hadn't taken that picture. I thought it must be some kind of mistake. Maybe I downloaded it by accident, or maybe someone had sent it to me. But when I checked my messages and email, there was nothing. The photo wasn't in my downloads either. It was just there, in my photo gallery, as if I had taken it myself. I felt a little uneasy, but not scared. It was probably just some strange glitch. I had work to do, so I ignored it and moved on. That night, I looked at the photo again before going to bed. It was still there. Still the same. I stared at it for a few minutes, trying to figure out where it was taken. Was it in my city? Maybe another part of town? Maybe a place I had visited and forgotten about? But no, I was sure I had never been there. I didn't recognize anything. The next morning, I woke up and reached for my phone again. I wasn't even thinking about the photo, just doing my usual routine. But when I opened the gallery, I froze. The photo was different. It was the same street, the same buildings, the same trees, the same narrow road. But something had changed. The sky was dark, and heavy clouds filled the air. The street was flooded. Water covered the road and reached up to the steps of the buildings. The trees looked bare now, and the windows of the houses were broken. The whole place looked abandoned, ruined, and silent. But I could still tell it was the same street. The buildings were in the same places. The trees stood the same way. Only now it looked like something terrible had happened. I sat up in bed. My heart was beating fast. I had no idea how this was possible. How could a photo change like that? Photos don't just change. They are frozen moments. They stay the same forever. That's the whole point. I checked the details of the picture: date, time, size, but everything looked normal. It said the photo was taken yesterday morning, but now it was different. I tried to delete it. I held my finger on the image and hit delete. The screen blinked for a second, and then nothing happened. The photo was still there. I tried again. Still nothing. My phone made a little sound, like it had deleted something, but the image stayed on the screen, unchanged. I was starting to feel something stronger than confusion. I was feeling fear, not a big, loud fear. A quiet fear like a whisper in the back of my mind. Something wasn't right. Later that day, I showed the photo to my coworker, Lucy, on a video call. She's one of the few people I talk to regularly. I told her what had happened, hoping she would laugh and tell me I was being silly. She looked at the photo, then she asked, "Where is this?" "I don't know," I said. "I didn't take it." "You didn't take it?" "No, it just appeared on my phone, and yesterday it looked different." "Different how?" I told her about the first version, the clean, quiet street. I told her how it changed overnight. She didn't laugh. Instead, she said, "That's creepy." "Yeah," I said. "And I can't delete it." "Maybe it's a virus," she said. "Or some weird app bug. You should reset your phone." That night, I did just that. I backed up my files, restarted the phone, and reset everything to factory settings. The photo was gone. I went to bed feeling a little better. Maybe it really had been some kind of technical problem. Phones do strange things sometimes. But I still felt that quiet fear, that whisper, that something was not finished yet, and I was right. The next morning, I woke up to a message notification. It was from an unknown number. It just said, "Did you see today's photo?" I sat up quickly. My heart raced. I didn't want to open the photo gallery. I didn't want to look, but of course I did. There it was. The photo, same street, same buildings. But now it was covered in snow. Thick white snow lay on the ground, the trees, the roofs. The sky was pale gray, and snowflakes were still falling. It looked peaceful, but also cold, empty, and silent. The windows of the houses were now closed again. The water was gone, replaced by snow and ice. I stared at it for a long time. The image didn't move. It was still a photo, but it didn't feel like a normal picture. It felt alive, like I could walk into it, like I could open a door and be there. I tried to call the number that sent the message. It didn't work. The line was dead. I messaged back. No reply. I checked the photo again. Still there. Still the same. That day I didn't work. I couldn't stop thinking about the photo. I searched online for answers. Changing photo on phone. Mysterious image appears every day. Most of the results were stories from forums. People asking similar things, but nothing matched my case exactly. No real answers, just confusion. Later, I went for a walk to clear my head. The real world felt normal. Busy streets, loud cars, people rushing past with bags and coffee. But I felt disconnected, like I was in two worlds now. This one, and the world inside that photo. When I came home, I looked at the image again. Still snow, still silent, still strange. That night, I dreamed about the street. I was standing at the end of it, looking down the road. The trees were covered in snow, and the houses were quiet. There were no people, but I felt like someone was watching me. Not in a scary way, just watching, like they were waiting. I woke up sweating. The dream had felt real, too real. When I opened the phone, I saw a new message, same number. This time it said, "Look closer." When I read the message, "Look closer," I felt a chill. My hands trembled as I held the phone. I tapped the photo and watched it fill the screen. The snow scene stared back at me, silent and still. For a moment, I saw nothing more than snow. Then I noticed something I had missed before. A tiny light in one of the upper windows of a house on the right. It was a warm, golden glow, faint but unmistakable against the cold gray sky. I zoomed in with my finger. The light flickered as if someone was carrying a candle. But why? Who would be in that house in the middle of nowhere? And how was it possible for the photo to change like this, day after day, as if it were alive? I stared at the illuminated window for a long time. My mind raced with questions. I wanted to call someone, but who could explain this? My phone was already acting strange. Messages from unknown numbers, a photo that changed. I felt both curious and scared. Finally, I took a deep breath and decided to keep looking. If the photo was trying to tell me something, maybe I could find more clues. Over the next hour, I scrolled through my gallery, but there were no other images. Only this photo that changed every morning. I locked the screen, stood up, and paced around my small apartment. The room felt too quiet. I felt as if I were waiting for something to happen. Then I realized I hadn't eaten breakfast. I made a sandwich and some tea, but I couldn't focus. My eyes kept drifting to the phone lying on the table. By noon, I decided to take another look. I unlocked the screen and opened the photo one more time. The light in the window was still there, but something else caught my eye. Faint footprints in the snow leading away from the house, toward the dark end of the street. They were small prints, too small for an adult, maybe a child's. The tracks disappeared into the distance as if whoever made them had walked out of the frame. I zoomed in and out, trying to make sense of it. My heart pounded. I grabbed a notebook and began sketching the street's layout. The narrow road, the row of houses on each side, the lone lit window, and the footprints. I wrote down the date and time the photo updated. Every morning at exactly 7 a.m. My coffee had gone cold, but I didn't care. I was lost in the mystery. That afternoon, I called Lucy again. I needed someone to talk to. She answered on the third ring. "Daniel, you sound different," she said. "I need your help," I blurted. "Look at the photo. Zoom in on the window. See the footprints?" She went quiet. Then she said, "Yes, I see them. That's not normal. Daniel, this is serious. You might want to be careful. I don't know what it means, but it could be dangerous." "Dangerous how?" "I don't know," she admitted. "But it's not just a glitch. It feels like someone is sending you a message. Have you thought about going to the place in the photo?" I laughed, but it sounded hollow. "I don't even know where it is." "Find out," she said firmly. "If you find the street, go there. Maybe you'll get answers." We ended the call, and I stared at the phone. The idea was crazy. My apartment was safe, at least I thought so. But what if this was important? What if the photo was trying to show me something that only I could see? I made up my mind. I would find the street. The next morning, I woke up early and packed a small bag. Notebook, camera, phone charger, and a map of the city downloaded on my laptop. I carried my laptop out to the balcony and opened the photo side by side with Google Maps, trying to match the buildings. But the city in the picture didn't look like any neighborhood I knew. The buildings were old, maybe from another town or even another country. The style was European, perhaps. The bricks were a deep red, and the roofs were slanted steeply, like they were built for heavy snow. I spent hours searching online for streets that looked like the one in the photo. I searched narrow European street with brick houses. I looked through travel blogs, image galleries, even archives of old photographs. Nothing matched exactly. I grew frustrated and exhausted. My phone pinged with an incoming message. I hesitated before opening it. It was from the same unknown number. "You're close." The text made me pause. Close to what? I typed back, "What do you mean?" No reply. I stared at the message. I was both a little angry and excited. How did they know where I was? I wasn't near that street. I was still in my apartment. And yet I felt close, like I was on the right path. That evening, I decided to take a break. I went to a small cafe downstairs and ordered tea. The cafe was warm, and the smell of baked goods made me feel calm. I pulled out my laptop and continued my search. I opened folders, pulled up photos of different streets I had saved earlier, and compared them to the mysterious picture. People at nearby tables glanced at me. I must have looked obsessed. An hour later, I found something interesting. On a travel forum, someone had posted a photo of a street flooded by rainwater last winter. The buildings looked similar: red brick, small windows, a few trees. But the angle was different, and the flood was of rain, not deep water. I saved the image and compared it side by side. It wasn't the same, but it gave me hope. If I could find more images from that town, maybe I could piece together the location. I messaged the forum user asking if they remembered the town name. They replied quickly, "That was in Greenvale, a small town by the mountains." Greenvale. I had never heard of it. I looked it up on the map. It was about 2 hours north of the city. A small railway connected it to the capital. My heart raced. This could be it. That night, I booked a train ticket to Greenvale for the next morning. I hardly slept, worrying about what I was doing. But I also felt a strong sense of purpose. At a.m., I boarded the train. The countryside passed by, fields of green, distant hills, and early morning mist. I thought about the photo and the footprints. A child in the snow. Who was it? And why was the window lit? Was someone living there? And why was I the only one receiving these images? When I arrived in Greenvale, the air was crisp. The station was small and nearly empty. I pulled up the photo on my phone and left the station, walking in the direction of the town center. Greenvale was quiet at dawn. Only a few shopkeepers were opening their doors. I asked an older woman at a bakery if she recognized the street in the photo. She frowned and said, "That looks like Old Mill Street, but many houses fell into ruin after the flood 2 years ago." "Mill Street?" I repeated. "Could you point me there?" She smiled kindly and drew a quick map on a napkin. "It's just down the hill past the church. You can't miss it." I thanked her and hurried off. My heart was pounding. Down the hill, I saw a tall stone church with a clock tower. Beyond it, a narrow road curved between rows of brick houses. My breath caught. It was the street from the photo. Even now, in real life, the air felt different, colder, quieter, and a bit mysterious. I stepped onto Mill Street. The houses looked worn. Many windows were boarded up, and vines climbed the walls. The trees were bare. Late spring here, but no leaves had grown back. It felt abandoned. I raised my phone to take a picture, and then I stopped. I realized something important. The photo on my phone wasn't just a random picture. It was a window into this place, its past, its future, its secrets. I took a deep breath, stepped forward, and walked toward the first house on the right, where the light had glowed in the snowy photo. My heart beat loud in my chest as I reached the front door. I paused at the front door of the house on Mill Street, the same house where the light had glowed in the snow photo. My hand trembled as I reached for the old brass handle. The door felt cold under my palm. I turned the knob slowly and pushed the door open. It creaked on rusty hinges. Inside, the hallway was dark and quiet. The air smelled of damp wood and dust. My footsteps echoed as I walked forward, my phone flashlight cutting a narrow path of light through the gloom. The living room was empty except for a small wooden table and a broken chair. On the table lay an old leather-bound notebook covered in dust. I stepped closer and lifted the cover. The pages were yellowed, and the handwriting inside was neat but faded. I opened to the first page. It read, "My name is Anna. I lived here when I was 8 years old. I loved this house, but one winter day, a terrible flood came. The water rose so fast that my family had to leave everything behind. We left this town and I never returned." My heart thudded. Could this be the child whose footprints I saw in the photo? I turned the page. More entries followed. The snow came after the flood, and I missed my home so much. I dreamed of coming back one day. I kept a light in the window every night, hoping someone would see it and remember us. Tears filled my eyes. Anna had lived here. She had watched from that lit window and waited. She had carried a candle to keep hope alive. I flipped through more pages and found sketches of the street, the river that flooded it, and the empty rooms inside the house. Her last entry was dated 2 years ago. I am grown now. I live far away. But sometimes I dream of Mill Street. I wonder if this place will ever change again. I hope someone remembers. I closed the notebook and sat on the broken chair. The story was simple but powerful. Anna had lived here, had lost her home, and had never returned. But who had been sending me the photos? It couldn't be Anna herself. She was an adult now, living elsewhere. Then I remembered the messages on my phone, the unknown number that texted me every morning. I unlocked my phone and looked at the message thread. The last message was still there. "Look closer." And before that, "You're close." And at the very start, "Did you see today's photo?" I thought about Anna's words. She had lit the window so someone would remember. Maybe someone or something had seen her light and wanted to show her story to the world. Or maybe it was Anna herself using technology I couldn't understand, reaching back through time to share her memories. The idea felt strange, but my journey so far had taught me that strange things could happen. I stood up, clutching the notebook. I walked to the window, the same one I had seen in the snow photo. The glass was broken, but I could still see out onto the street. The houses on the opposite side looked as they had in the original photo, old, but intact. I raised my phone and took a picture of the window frame. I wondered if this image would appear on my phone tomorrow, unchanged, or if it, too, would change. I left the house with Anna's notebook in my bag. The morning light was pale and the air was crisp. As I walked back down Mill Street, I thought about what I had learned. The street had once been peaceful, then flooded, then covered in snow. Anna had lived through all of it. She had watched from her window, waiting for someone to notice. And now I had noticed. Back at the train station, I sent a message to Lucy. "I found the house. I found a notebook. It belonged to Anna. You won't believe this, but I think she sent the photos." I hit send and waited. My phone pinged almost immediately. "How is she sending them?" Lucy asked. "I don't know," I said. "Maybe it's not Anna herself. Maybe it's a memory or a message from the past." But the photos showed me her story. They showed me the flood and the snow and her lit window. Lucy wrote back, "That's amazing. What will you do now?" "I'm not sure," I replied. "I think I'll go home and wait to see tomorrow's photo. Maybe there will be another clue." I boarded the train back to the city, Anna's notebook on my lap. The countryside passed by again, but this time I felt a sense of peace. I had found answers. I had walked the street, opened the door, and read Anna's words. I had connected with someone I had never met, and I had a story to tell. The next morning, I woke up at exactly 7. My phone lay on the bedside table. I reached for it, my heart beating fast. I unlocked the screen and opened the photo gallery. The image that appeared was not the old street. It was a living room, bright and modern. Sunlight streamed through a large window that looked like the one in Anna's house, but the frame was new and painted white. There was a blue sofa, a small potted plant, and a family photo on the wall. In that photo, a young couple stood in front of their new home, smiling. I stared at it, confused. Then I noticed the details. The window frame matched the broken frame in Anna's house. The shadows on the floor were the same shape as the windowsill's broken glass. And in the family photo on the wall, I saw a small girl holding a candle, just like Anna's candle in the notebook sketches. I realized the final image was showing me the future home of the people who would live in Anna's old house after it was restored. The street would be repaired, the houses renewed, and a new family would move in. Anna's house, once abandoned and broken, would become someone's home again. The light in the window was back, this time a real light in a real home. Tears came to my eyes as I looked at the photo. The story had come full circle, from the quiet street to the flood, from the snow to the empty house, and finally to a future home filled with warmth and life. Anna's hope had been answered, even if she never returned. Her story had traveled through time, through my phone, and into my life. And now it would travel further as I would share it with the world. I sent a final message to the unknown number. "Thank you." There was no reply, but I didn't need one. The story was complete. If you ever find a photo that changes every day, remember this tale. Listen closely, look deeper, and follow the clues. You might discover a story that connects you to someone you have never met. And who knows, you might even see a glimpse of your own future home. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and comment below telling us where you're watching from. Practicing your English with stories will help you improve your listening and speaking skills. We hope this adventure inspired you. See you next time for another story.